our last presentation, we are going to hear from Nicole and Tyler. They're going to be presenting the results and findings of their integrated organizational health survey, health and wellness survey rather, that was done with the community support service sector. So we'll hand things over to both of you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Tyler and I are really happy to be here today to speak about the organizational health and well-being work. This work is designed to support well-being across the system. So the purpose of this presentation is to share the CSS sector findings, the approach, the evaluation, and supports. So I'll move into a little bit about an introduction. So the Organizational Health and Wellbeing Project began with Central Regional Hospitals, and it evolved into a survey including the CSS sector. And this was about surveying wellbeing programs to identify a step care model that could be shared, a model that is based on the MESH model and step care 2.0, and then to identify different organizational services and provincial services available to align with each level of distress someone might be experiencing. The organizational survey findings also include an evaluation of maturity of well-being programs. And this you see at the bottom here, stages of maturity, is a plotting graph that is used to understand the landscape based on organizational size. And so this is where gaps are identified as opportunities to support growth and maturity, and also to pave a roadmap for the future. So we'll jump into the findings first, and I will pass it to Tyler.
Hey everyone. So as Nicole mentioned, we've had a couple iterations of this survey. This one in particular looks at community and social service sectors. So in total, we had 36 organizations respond to this survey. The majority of these organizations were small institutions, which were defined by a staff size of 1 to 100 employees, and that represented 41.2% of our sample. So we have a graph here where we can see the respondents represented through plot points. Each plot point corresponds to a single organization. The axis along the bottom indicates the total score that these organizations received, which was calculated using the responses from the survey. And the axis along the left indicates the level of maturity, which is defined by the sophistication of these wellness programs. And the size of the plots within the graph itself indicate the size of the organization, which is defined by the number of staff that they employ. By referencing the graph, we can see that the majority of the organizations that were sampled fall into the stage 2 and 3 categories. Nearly half of the organizations that we sampled reported that they were considering developing a psychologically safe workplace policy, suggesting there could be potential room for improvement in that area. An overwhelmingly large number of respondents reported that they do not have required mental health training for their leaders. This represented 91.7% of the sample. This figure also includes organizations who indicated that they either support or offer mental health training for their leaders, but did not specify that it was required. In terms of actual leadership training programs that are offered to employees, our results indicate potentially limited access due to primarily low engagement in that particular section. And many of our wellness programs that were offered by organizations include physical, relational, emotional, educational, and nutritional elements. By referencing the table, we can see that makes up 58.3% of the sample. So that was great. So under the employee experience subheading, we discovered that only 8.3% of the respondents indicated that they have targeted offerings for staff based on a recruitment and retention model. Furthermore, the results from the performance measurement evaluation indicated that most of these organizations have room for improvement in how they evaluate the success of their wellness programs. Taking a look at the graph, we can see a combined total of 77.8% of respondents who stated that they either lack defined objectives for their program success or define their program success by engagement through participation. In terms of benefits, every single organization reported that they provide some kind of benefits package to their full-time employees. Perhaps most significantly, we discovered that 100% of these organizations provide dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage, while less than 60% provide access to a social worker, psychiatrist for short-term disability, and other. So we're just going to return to this wellness graph really quick. Here we've provided a point of reference in this iteration to indicate the mean wellness score of this particular sample, which was 20.94 repeated out of a total of 36. This placed the average community and social service organization within the stage 3 comprehensive category. So to wrap up the environmental scan findings, I'm just going to go through quickly and compare the results from the current sample of community and social service sectors to the previous sample that we did on central region hospitals. The global mean wellness scores between the two were comparable, showing a slightly higher yet not entirely significant increase in the mean wellness scores favoring the side of the community and social service sectors. As a result, the stages of maturity were revealed to be the same. Surprisingly, especially considering these comparable mean wellness scores, the average size of the organizations from the current sample of community and social service sectors was well below the previous sample of central region hospitals, indicating that there might not be a significant relationship between staff size and the maturity of an organization's wellness program. Community and social service sectors also reported slightly stricter regulations for leadership training, with 2 organizations having required mental health training for their leaders compared to the central region hospitals where none had them required. In terms of policies, the majority of central region hospitals reported that they are considering developing a psychologically safe workplace, while approximately only 40% reported doing the same within community and social service sectors. All organizations in both the current sample and the previous sample reported they offer benefits to their full-time employees. However, none of the organizations from the previous sample of central region hospitals reported that they offer full access to therapies, while 7 from the current community and social service samples reported that they do. And that wraps it up for me.
So now that we've looked at the maturity and the global mean of the group, let's dive into the step care model and the approach and intervention levels. So what you see here is a pretty complex model where the surveying findings enabled us to capture organizational and provincial interventions used to then plot into this step care model that's customized, and then to have the development of supportive tools that have a common language. The model allows individuals to connect their experience with the appropriate intervention type. And what you see here is the mapping of all the steps in the model on a grade from low to high in distress. So starting at step 1 being low and moving up all the way to step 9. And what you might notice here is step 5, if you draw your attention to the middle, that there was no reported services in that step 5 specific event assistance. When we look at each level in the step care model, so sustainable health, the first section focuses on individuals who are experiencing stress and offers programs and activities to improve resilience. This includes drop-in type activities. Many fitness typical options are listed, informational health resources, and interactive self-help sessions or courses. So this is where we're looking at people who want to explore resilience options. Moving up the step care model to supportive health, the second section focuses on individuals who are experiencing acute distress and offers specific targeted debriefing or planning. This includes services to connect with peers and similar experiences and support after a specific event and connecting with an expert on an as-needed basis. None of the responding organizations listed any kind of event-specific assistance for their employees. And lastly, as we get to the top of the step care model, this section focuses on individuals who are displaying and experiencing severe distress and offers more intensive service options. The majority of the services on this end are not facilitated directly through an organization, but rather their services through benefit packages or seeking services in the community. So the evaluation is part of the package here, and looking at the evaluation in a simple tool will go back to thinking about that wellness mean. So the overall progress of the CSS sector could be evaluated through changes in this overall wellness mean score, and it could be measured by a follow-up survey just to find out if there's been any progress made with the group now that we've identified some opportunities on how to strengthen the maturity. The mean wellness score is how all organizations sit as a whole. And as Tyler noted, it currently sits at 20.294 repeated. As organizations start to improve their individual standing for wellness, so perhaps developing a policy or looking at leadership training, the mean score will increase. A substantial change in the mean score will only occur if a large portion of the organizations focus on increasing their score as a collective. For example, if multiple organizations focused on one improvement in the short term, so mental health training for leaders is a quick win, this could have an overall impact and an increase on the mean score of 1.33 points, resulting in a new mean moving up to 22.28. Another aspect of the evaluation that a follow-up survey would allow us to capture is additional wellness programming that could be plotted into the step care model, where that could have been implemented since the baseline measure was completed. So with all this information and this robust collection of information, this is where we looked at how to support the leaders in the sector. And the support began by helping them understand the survey presentation like we're doing today. So there were presentations and conversations that occurred in various groups. We offered drop-in sessions to understand more about the survey findings and the environmental scan report and the application of the step care model. We provided drop-in sessions on how to access services and bring them into their organization. And we offered sessions for managers to lead conversations and how to have engaged staff in a conversation about their well-being. We did share reference tools, recordings, and posters. And this poster here is one that was specifically shared, where I'm going to share with you a new digital tool that we now have available. So if you are looking at this tool going, I'd like to access it, I'm happy to share how that can be accessed. And again, this tool is based on the well-being wheel, which I'm going to go into more detail in a brief moment. The opportunity to do a self-reflection and identify what you're experiencing and what kind of support is appropriate based on that experience. So the well-being wheel takes a look at the individual in a holistic approach, looking at the identification of feelings, thought patterns, energy levels, and working function. So someone can place themselves on the wheel and identify the right intervention. This tool is aiding in bridging the support that an individual needs. The tool is available, as I mentioned, digitally. So you can see a link at the bottom here on the slide, stepcaremodel.waypointcenter.ca. So though we have a brief presentation today to put the plug in, we want to make sure that you understand the outcome and the work that was identified, highlighted 3 quick wins for maturity for this group. So 1, adopting a step care model, communicating to staff how to do that self-assessment. Number 2, looking at leadership mental health training to help them have support in confidence, engaging in conversations with their staff, or understanding how to help their staff navigate the system. And then lastly, taking a look at assistance following specific events. Perhaps there is an opportunity to clarify that point, or perhaps there's an opportunity to look at peer support options or different types of models where there could be psychological first aid offered as needed. So I will pause there look to see if there's any questions, and if not, I will turn it back to Taryn.
All right, great. Thank you so much for that very comprehensive overview. That was very interesting, and I will be reviewing that slide deck later and checking out some of those resources. And always a good educational point for us, the Regional Learning Center, to think about how we can promote mental health training for leaders. I'm just going to check into the chat. I'm not seeing any questions at this time, but we'll give everybody a minute. And so again, if you have any questions for our presenters, you're welcome to put up your hand and unmute yourself, or you can just pop them into the chat. All right, well, sometimes it takes a little while to process all the information and come up with a cogent question. So I think we'll wrap up for now, but I think everybody has your contact information, and we are going to share out some of the decks so people can access your resources too. So with that, I will turn it over to Christina Bazantz, the CEO of Chats, and she can give us our our final goodbye and close off the conference. Over to you, Christina.
Thank you, Taryn. And I imagine people's tummies are telling them that it's time to wrap up and get to lunch. But I just wanted to thank everybody so much for your time and attention today. It really is remarkable, I think, to all of us, the amount of activity, some real innovative work that's being done in our sector. and in our sector working in an integrated way with the other sectors for that systems approach that we're all looking for. I want to thank so much the members of the Ontario Health Central CSS advisory groups, working groups who planned today's conference, which is the second one that they've put together, both the partnerships group as well as the pressures group, to look at issues that are important to us and areas that really are key to us being able to understand what else is happening, where we can scale and spread some really great ideas, bring things into our region, and ultimately benefit all the persons that we serve. I want to also thank all the speakers today for taking the time to be with us and to share their programs, plans, ideas, surveys, and so forth. I learned a really neat concept that I'm going to be using from now on, that notion of naturally occurring partnerships. We're hearing a lot about naturally occurring retirement communities, but now I'm going to add to my lexicon the naturally occurring partnerships. And I think that's really what we've tried to achieve here today, is ways in which we can not only share information, but establish those links so that we can work better together as part of a much larger region than we've ever worked with before. I'd also like to thank the Regional Learning Center, Taryn, Samar, and Yelini for putting all of this together, taking care of all of the logistics to make sure that we were all able to connect, and to keeping the agenda on time as well. And finally, to thank our Ontario Health Central representatives, Sandra, Shika, and so many others who really have made this series possible for us to deliver, and for all their support of the community services support sector, and making sure that we are able to continue to have a profile, have a presence, raise awareness, and really demonstrate that we have not only a valid role, but an important and valuable role to play within the healthcare system and the transformation that's taking place around us. So I want to thank you all so very much.
All right, thank you very much, Christina. And so that will close off our conference. We've got some great thank yous to the presenters in the chats. So have a great, happy Community Support Services Month, everyone.